Hi guys, I'm going to walk you through doing this lab today. The first thing that you're going to need to do is gather some supplies. Now, number one, you're all going to need to have a blank piece of paper. Okay, it's best if it's computer paper, like printer paper, and the only thing you have is lined paper. That's fine, not a big deal. Just get some paper. Okay, you're also going to need a pencil. Okay, a pencil is key because you're going to mess up with a pen, so use a pencil. You're going to need a ruler. Okay, at least a 12-inch ruler. I have an 18-inch ruler here, but a 12-inch ruler or a straight edge, you're going to need to be able to measure, and it's got to have centimeters on it. If the only ruler you have is inches, no big deal. You can make it work. Okay. You're going to need a piece of string. Now you might be like, well, where am I going to get string? Okay, you can get a ball of yarn. You could get string. You could even, if you're like, have absolutely no clue, you could get a shoe and just take your shoelace off. Okay, you're gonna need some string, and you're gonna need to take that string and you're gonna tie it in a loop. Now, the size of the loop kind of does matter. So if you look at this, it's not huge. It's about the size of the palm of my hand. Okay, if you were to put it on your paper and stretch it out, it should be really no longer than about the width of the paper going this way, so about 4 inches long or so. Okay, but you're going to tie your string in a loop, double knot it so it doesn't come loose and it's nice and tight. Okay, so those are the main supplies that you'll need to do this. Now, the other thing that you're going to need to do is gather some cardboard. Now, cardboard works best if you have push pins. Okay, and the reason cardboard works best is because you can take the push pins and push them right into the paper, right into the cardboard, and they'll act as our foci. They're not going to move out of that cardboard. So that's the best setup if you have cardboard, just a piece of cardboard. You can get an old box and just do it right on top of the box, and some push pins. Okay, now if you have no push pins and no cardboard, no big deal. You could put this paper on the side of your fridge and get a couple of magnets. Okay, and stick it to your fridge like that and use those as the foci. Doesn't matter what shape magnets they are, as long as there's something that's going to be able to stay stationary. But you're going to need something to hold your string in place. If you remember the video from yesterday, this goes around that and needs to not move as you drag your pencil around. Okay, now these magnets are pretty weak magnets. If you have some stronger ones, that'd be better. Now if you have nothing, you could always just get a friend or your parent or a sibling or whatever, just have them put their fingers down like this, and that could act as the foci. So you're dragging it around the fingers. Okay, that will work, not a big deal. But I'll just show you, I'm going to use the best scenario, and that is a piece of cardboard or a box. Okay, and it's got to be about the size of your paper. Now, first thing you're going to do with your ruler is find the center of your paper approximately, and you're going to draw a line right down the middle of your paper like that. Okay, nice straight line going across the whole entire width of the paper. Then what you're going to do is take one of your push pins and you're just going to insert it into the line, or right into the cardboard, right through and through, so it doesn't move. Okay, that's the best scenario. Next, you're going to take your other push pin and take your string. I'm just going to put this on there just for measurement purposes. I don't want to put my push pin outside of where the string can go, so I'm just going to kind of put it somewhere around here. So I have a pretty long stretch on this, not completely, but stretched out pretty far. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to label this. This is going to be F1 and F1. So this is my first foci that we're using. Okay, and now that I have my push pin in there, I'm going to stretch my string out as far as possible, and I'm going to draw my ellipse going around here. Now, the first time you do this, you might mess up. The big thing is stretch your string out as far as it can go and keep stretching it out as you drag it around. Okay, so I always have it tight as I go around the circle. Okay, that is my first ellipse. Next, what you're going to do is you're only going to move this pin right here. And I'm going to move it so it's closer. I'm going to move it down the line. Okay, right there. And I'm going to call this F2. Okay. This is going to be, actually we're just going to call this one F. Okay. It's always our focus. Alright, so that's F2. Now we're going to put our string around it again. We're going to stretch this out as far as possible. And we're going to draw our ellipse again. Okay, there we go. That's our second one. Now, what you might want to do is, because you're going to have 3 of these on here, label this first one F1, label this one F2. And then we're going to do one more. I'm going to move this pin down a little bit further. It doesn't matter how far down you go, but I'm going to put it right there. Okay, and I'm going to put my string on there, and I'm going to draw my third one. Now, if your circle goes off your paper, it's not a huge deal on the top and the bottom. You don't want to go off the paper over here. Okay, so make sure that when you're moving these pins around, if you mess up the first time, that's why you're using pencil. Use a smaller loop or move your push pins this way, okay, so that you're not going off the paper over here. You want to be able to measure from this end to that end. And so if it's off the paper along this line, that's got to be changed. If it goes off the paper up here or down here, not a huge deal. Okay, and that's it. So I got to label this last one before I move it F3. Okay, so there we go. We have our 3 ellipses and we have the locations of our foci. Okay, now you can still see the dot that was put into the paper. If that dot is not there because you didn't use push pins, just make a dot with your pencil so you can actually see it a little bit better. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my ruler and I'm going to measure, and I want to use centimeters. Okay, and you're going to be putting all this information into your lab that you're typing up. Actually, the first thing you want to do is measure the distance between the foci. So from F to F1, from F to F2, and from F to F3, distance between the foci. Okay, and you want to measure that to the nearest tenth. So in the case of like this guy right here, F2, I can zoom in on this, but the idea is, let me just zoom. Right here, that's approximately 7.2 centimeters. So we want to be really precise with that. If it's right on a number, like this one, it's right on 5, that's 5.0. So measure to the nearest tenth. Then you're going to measure the major axis. Okay, so the major axis is the entire thing from end to end. So for F1, it's from here to there. Okay, for F2, it's from here to there. And for F3, it's from here to there. Okay, so that's the major axis. And you're going to measure that again in centimeters to the nearest tenth of a centimeter. Okay, so in the case of F1, from there to here, that's approximately 16 centimeters. It's about 16.2 to be precise. Okay, so just be aware that that is the part that you're going to have to do and gather supplies with. The rest is just typing up some information online. You're going to use all those numbers that you measured to calculate the eccentricity of all 3 ellipses. Now, one key thing I'll just remind you about this is make sure your loop's not too big. Okay, if it is too big, I guarantee you these are going to be off the paper. So make it kind of small. Okay, it doesn't have to be huge. The location of these foci does not matter as long as you have 3 different distances here. Leave one the same and move the other 3. Okay, so those are all the reminders, and I'll go through some of the lab and typing that up next. Okay, so now that you've accomplished the procedure, you're going to type up all your responses into the lab that I put on the daily agenda for today. So this is online. What you're going to do is you're going to take the numbers, all of your measurements, and you're going to insert them into this table here. So the distance between the foci in centimeters, length of the major axis, and then the eccentricity. Now for eccentricity, remember the formula is on your reference table. You're going to divide these numbers. Make sure your answers are between 0 and 1. If they're not, you did it wrong. Okay? when you round this, I would round this to the hundredths place. Okay, so like point something something. So all three numbers. And none of these numbers should have a label because the label crosses out. Okay, so eccentricity, you're going to calculate and you're going to put your answers right there for F1, F2, and F3. Also, I'd like you to just put a photo of your drawings right in this area right here. It doesn't have to be big. I just want to see what you did. I'll show you mine. Okay, so I'll just insert a photo and you can just put that in there. It doesn't have to be a big photo. I just want to see your drawings. Okay, so just take a picture, copy and paste it into there. Okay. After that, there's some questions on the next page. All these questions, you should just type up your responses in here. If it's a one-word answer for the question, great. If it's an explanation, make it an explanation. Okay, just read it accordingly. I'll let you figure that out. When I'm referring to like which ellipse that you drew or whatever, I'm talking about like F1, F2, or F3. Okay, so those are your drawings. And each one of these is really like a planet going around the sun. Okay, so just kind of consider that. Also, this question here, number 5, apparent shape of the Earth's orbit. What does it look like? If you draw it to scale, is it more circular? Is it more oval-like? Just kind of tell me based upon the numbers. There's a chart, a table here of the eccentricities of all the planets. It's also in your reference table. But all these questions, I think, are pretty obvious. And if you have questions about anything on here, you can't gather supplies or whatever, just send me a quick email and I'll try to help you out as best I can. Okay, that's it. I hope you guys have a great day.